We're live.
Yep.
All right, February 22nd, 2019 meeting is called to order. First of all, we need to approve the minutes from the October 25th, 2018 regular session.
What do you need? Agenda. I move to approve the minutes from the last session.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then next up is the staff report.
Staff reports. Some things to update everyone on since our last meeting. The city has applied for a recreational trails program grant through the Department of Natural Resources for the Main Street Trail, otherwise known as the DD Trail, that will connect Smith Fork Park to Heritage Park and then downtown. We'll use that to enhance the amenities along the trail, like bike repair stations, water fountains, bottle filling stations. We all got together.
Emergency buttons.
Crosswalk, yes, and
Benches, all that
benches, some enhancements to the trail above and beyond what was approved in the bond. So that's a good deal. Hopefully we'll hear back on that.
So we've
later this-
applied for it, we don't actually.
We've
have
applied for
Okay.
it, yes. And we're able to get our engineers involved after that bid was awarded. So we feel pretty good about our application at this point. You may have seen the paper, we are the only Mo Eats pilot program in the state. We partner with the 4-H as well as the Mizzou Extension. At Wildflower Park, we had a presentation from Kenny Purdue at the last meeting. So that is moving forward. We got a shed up there for gardening supplies and stuff. We'll have hopefully food plots or garden spots out this spring, I would imagine,
That's Wildflower Park.
at Wildflower, yes.
They started the classes at Eagle Heights on Tuesday, and they'll do 6-week classes for the kids. They'll be planning stuff, taking it home, but also for the park.
So yeah, we had a great meeting on that and kind of laid out the plan for, putting stuff, not really to interfere with where we may develop that park in the future, just kind of around have a garden area and then maybe some trees or in other areas of the park that need
Shade anyway.
shade or wet, basically selecting the right plant for the place, especially if they can be edible. The Heritage Park Playground Project, you see the pictures here of the climbers. The scheduled date for that is April 1st through 5th, weather permitting. So that's pushed back from when we were initially told, but we'll keep you up to date on that as we get closer. Hopefully the weather starts to cooperate.
And is that actual implementation of all the stuff that we've approved through this, or just these pieces?
No, it's
Or
everything. It's
that's
just,
putting the park
this
in
is
it?
what they've sent. Yeah, it's gonna be the whole playground from the, was it Holy
It's the full
Cow?
installation.
Yeah, full installation, everything, the slope slide and everything. Smith Fork Playground surface was also in the budget. It's been repaired. It's done, so I wanted to report that. Shelter house reservations and ball field rentals are online now. We've rolled out, there's a link from the city website. We're working through that. Had a few bumps along the road, but worked to get that rolled out for the convenience of our customers and citizens. They can see a calendar, see when things are available, rather than having to call, make the reservation, come here and pay in person or over the phone. It should streamline everything.
So they can just pay over the internet.
Pay with a card over, yeah. So check that out. Let us know if you have any issues with that, so we can kind of stay on top of that, make sure that's working as it's supposed to. Matt and I have been working on sponsorships for movie night. We've got a couple left. The mayor's working on bike race sponsors. We've been around town on that, trying to drum up some money. Recreation, we've had a youth volleyball season. High school volleyball coach, Coach Minix, ran that program for us with some student volunteers. It was a successful program. We had great feedback. Did that at the high school gym on Saturdays or Sundays. Adult volleyball is going on now. Was it first? We're a couple weeks in now.
Yeah, third week.
Third week, so halfway through. Spring youth soccer registration ended. We had our coaching meeting last night. 116 kids in 4 divisions. So
How's that compared to last year?
it's up from last spring.
Last spring we were at 90, so it's up
Okay.
a lot.
Did we add another age group or did we?
We added
Yeah, we're
U11,
U12.
U12, yeah.
Okay.
So kids are growing up. Seems like just
What are
yesterday.
you in now?
United 10,
United 10?
It was last season,
yeah. We'll have a lot of kids moving up to 11, 12 next spring.
yeah.
Youth clinic registration is still ongoing. as well as spring baseball, t-ball, softball, rec program, and adult softball is also open.
Did you get quite a few on the, is it U10 or U11 baseball that we added? Or which grade, U12?
We had U13.
U13.
Yeah, U13, which is like 8th grade, I
Yeah,
think.
so did we get quite a few? I got
So-
a lot of parents saying thank you for offering it.
Yeah, Pat Lantis is kind of really nailing that one
Okay.
for us.
That's Landon's. There's nothing between when did we end 7th grade?
Yeah, 7th
So yeah,
grade.
there's nothing for 8th graders.
Yeah.
There's nothing at the middle school, so.
There just hadn't been any
so-
people signing
Yeah,
up.
so Leslie Ty reached out to me and said, hey, we're gonna have to go play in Carnegie or Liberty. There's a lot of kids in Smithfield that wanna play. Can you guys do anything? So,
That's cool.
There's still time for that registration
Yeah.
deadline too, so
We got a
hopefully
whole
we'll have a
month,
team.
yeah.
We did have a division open for soccer, but we have 3 or 4 in that one as well, so.
Can I ask, because I don't know what's allowed through the school, do we, I guess for lack of a better word, advertise with the school that we have those programs?
We've
through?
done flyers before, but that's something we ask on our feedback at the end of the year. It seems like our banners do the best.
Okay.
So we skipped the
just thinking if
flyers
we
this
have a
year.
lot of
It hasn't
kids,
affected soccer.
If they could like get a flyer home or something like that.
Right.
that would be pretty
We've
sweet.
worked with the school in the past, but it's not.
it's pretty
Okay.
tough to get stuff in their folders. It has to go through central office, get approved, and then print it, or we print it, and
I just
social
wasn't
media
sure
and
how it
everything gets it out there just as good, I think.
Right.
I remember when my son was in daycare, there'd be a lot of
Yeah.
flyers coming through, and I always wondered if we shouldn't be dropping off to the daycares.
Yeah, we've done that before too. So, but yeah, that's something we always ask. We're always looking for new ways to get the word out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So, all right, that's my report. There's Josie.
Hey, Jesse. So yeah, May 11th is our bike race. Couple things going on. Matt's kind of mapped out Heritage Park, so that we can have quite a few vendor spots. That's the same day as Larson's Cruise is that evening. So we're trying to fill that morning with family events. Larson's will start at 3. So Matt's got a set up for a cornhole tournament. We'll have bike safety. Molly Porter is working on putting together some like Strider bike races and Little Kid bike races and stuff, just kind of teach kids bike safety while adults are out doing a race this time. We just want people to be able to hang out all day. So if you have any vendors, I told Kenny Purdue, for all the farmers and makers, have them come to Heritage Park that day because they can't use the courtyard, because they want to do some Saturday markets. Get as many people as we can down there, get some of the youth to do some activities, looking at trying to get a sponsor to cover a bounce house, trying to get some sponsors from out of state to come in and do some different demos, bike demos, pack crafting demos, kayaks, try to get a hold of like the guy that does that,
You said Northland Outdoor Adventures is coming?
I'll need to talk to them. I need a contact.
great.
Do you have a contact for them?
We do.
Yeah,
You do?
we do.
If you can reach out to him, see if he wants to do something down there. One thing I'd like to do that evening, because I'm trying to get a lot of people to camp that weekend as well. It is Mother's Day weekend, so it's gonna be a little rough, but if we can get enough people interested to do a movie night out at the campground that night, just on the backside or whatever, we're gonna do the tent camp.
We got an amphitheater back there,
Yeah, just-
kind of into the hill, so yeah,
Yeah.
we could just block off a site and set up
Yeah.
that'll work.
And I've reached out to somebody on a movie that's gravel related. Report came out today that gravel biking is now trending higher than road biking because there's more gravel roads, there's more people living in areas like Smithville, and people don't like getting run over on highways, so
Yeah.
it's starting to trend up there quite a bit. Did you ever reschedule my meeting?
Miss Nichols, I don't know, we've had so many snow days, I don't really know what's happening.
It's good.
A lot of Mondays.
Oh yeah, I've had a B day like all this week. I haven't even talked to her yet,
Yeah.
but I'll let you know.
Cool. We did have a meeting, as Brett mentioned here, for Wildflower Park. We have 3 high school students. Josie's not one of them, but 3 of the students are getting a stipend from the extension to help teach the kids at Eagle Heights, and then they'll be working in the park. So they do get paid for it, because it takes away from time they could be working. But the extension's paying for that.
That's awesome.
Miss Nichols has sent me that email, I just haven't had time to respond.
And Miss Nichols is here for the meeting. It was on a snow day too, which is, it was nice, but
She's doing pretty
It was
hard.
the second or third time we had to reschedule that meeting, it seemed like too, so. There's always something.
we went up there that day when I got the shed keys from you. It was like 20 degrees out, and one of them still showed up to walk around with.
Yeah, that's something else on that. They may want to put a combo lock on
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was thinking is,
Because then it's easier to text a combination than
yeah.
to.
And they're gonna
Drop
work
off
at getting some things for inside the shed that are lockable.
Okay,
So like if they have materials and stuff, they want it locked in there in a locker or whatever,
Right, right,
box.
right.
So then we can have, we talked about putting fishing poles or something on the back too, so people can grab those, but, different things.
cool.
We're gonna paint it so that the side facing, the sidewalks will be like the sign, so we don't have to put up a sign, it'll say Wildflower Park. The other side, we're gonna paint it with chalkboard paint, so it can be an outdoor classroom.
That's awesome. That's a good idea. It's well designed.
I have a few every once in a while.
I know this date already, but it's left me. When is Streetscape supposed to be done? Will it be done for Larson's Cruise?
Yes.
I knew it was coming. It was like
Spring.
as soon as
Yeah.
spring is possible.
Yeah, and you've seen the light poles are going up?
Yeah, they look good.
You guys can keep talking.
Now, I knew it was supposed to be like as soon as it was warm enough to pour the asphalt, but I wasn't sure what the date was, if it would be ready for that or not. That's cool. That'll be nice. Everything's looking good down there.
Yeah, these got delivered this week too.
Oh, the banners, they look good.
So, these are the colors that are approved by our marketing and stuff, right, in our package, so. Yeah, they're doubles, the guy's local-ish in the metro area. Stitching's like warranted, right, he'll come up and fix them if he needs to.
Very cool.
He did the grommets so we can tie them to the pole. $35 a piece, I think. So like when, we did land the 4-H fair too, I don't think we mentioned that in the staff report. That's gonna be a 3-day weekend event. All of Clay County 4-H will be up here. If they get enough fundraising for their marketing stuff, they're gonna buy 4-H banners to put on all the light poles. And that's open to any event, so if there's a big, like Larson's eventually wants to buy some, they could do it.
That's awesome.
If Storm wants to have it during baseball season, yeah, work with your organizations.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if it's like an event down just around the square, like movie night, if you get enough sponsors, they want to just throw them up around there.
That's cool. That's a good idea. Because we have a couple that sponsor like regularly. I know Eric Craig and I think one of the banks I know like sponsor pretty much every year. So that'd be great for you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get us off of topic. I was just trying to figure out like what it was going to look like down there at that point. So.
No, the last thing we're waiting on
Is there
really
anything else?
is the 50-degree days to put down the final asphalt. Do the same
Yeah.
thing with the bridge.
Cool. You had anything else?
No, that's all. It's,
We hit the end of staff report.
yes.
Cool. We have to approve that, don't we?
No.
No? Okay, cool. Let's see, the next thing we had was the parks regulation smoking ban. Who's presenting on that?
Yes, I will. Y'all had a memo in your packet. Basically, the Board of Aldermen had a work session to look at potential ban of smoking in parks. Staff received direction from that discussion at the work session and implemented it into a policy, which is what was sent out in your packet. Basically, to limit smoking only in designated areas.
Yep.
So staff went and looked at each park and looked at where we would put a smoking area. A couple things we kept in mind. We wanted it so that at like rec sporting events, our site supervisors could be able to point to a sign, point someone in that direction if they were to get a complaint. So we kind of made some maps with just some proposed smoking areas for Smiths Fork Park and Heritage Park. We've only addressed these two parks for a couple of reasons. When we got to looking at neighborhood parks, putting up a sign that says designated smoking area almost came across as we're encouraging smoking.
Yeah.
And so that took out a lot of the smaller neighborhood parks. The courtyard with the different events and festivals that go on down there, there's really no place away from the action to post a smoking area.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't want to get to where we don't want to have to move this for each individual event. It just was simpler, just leave those parks non-smoking, having where there are generally groups of people gathered, smoking areas. So I sent a map out in the packet. We kind of come up with a couple areas. And we're looking at for receptacles like the TerraCycle receptacles. Our Keep Smithville Beautiful had one on a trash can down by the courtyard last year. So we've identified those as, they'd be a good way to handle that so that we could get that material recycled rather than just throw it away. So what we're looking for from this group, here's the Heritage Park. Like I said, it's kind of close, but not yet far away, so that a site supervisor could point someone that direction. The way to get this into our ordinances in Smithville is to add it to the park regulations, which that would be a recommendation from this board to the Board of Aldermen, that it would just be added. And we put in the exception of, here's what the regulation, here's how it would read.
And just for clarification too, on downtown, we do have a designated smoking area behind City Hall. So if somebody was at Remembrance Park or at Heritage Park and really needed a place to go, there is one back here that we've designated because employees needed a spot too. So it's back here by the trash can.
So basically, as it reads down, no person shall consume a tobacco or tobacco product in a city park outside of a designated area, except at individual campsites at the campground. So that's kind of how we handled the campground as well, meaning you couldn't walk around smoking your pipe, but you could at your individual campsite, you pay for that, so kind of like, that's how the alcohol regulation is handled as well. So that's, and we've included some background on that from other parks, departments, other cities. Like I said, what we're looking for here is a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen.
Well, I did, when I looked at the packet earlier. The Smithport Park's by the soccer, I just didn't like, because you're right in view of kids playing soccer. So if someone, goes out, wants a cigarette, these are the U4, U5s, I think, play right here.
Yeah.
Now, there's a little concrete, or not concrete, there's a little
Okay.
gravel set off the road right here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be a much better spot.
Okay,
in my opinion.
that's easy, yeah, we'll
That's-
move that.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
I agree with that, because we were gonna,
It's a good
we're gonna
spot,
expand
yeah.
the U4, U6 fields eventually too.
Right.
Or
And
put
that's
a
another
different
thing to keep in
field.
mind, these don't have, we're not necessarily ordaining these sites as,
Yeah.
we're looking at a signpost with a TerraCycle, and so these will, as parks develop, or as we find appropriate, we could definitely move these. It's just, the key is that it's only allowed, and again, it's to give our site supervisors or parents or you as coaches, hey, you have to go smoke and chew over there.
So,
And I don't know if you've seen the TerraCycle one that was over here. It is a metal container.
Right.
So we'll have.
Aluminum or stainless
Yeah.
steel.
Where is it?
There was one on the trash can on the corner. It does have a key on it, and they empty those, and they send them to TerraCycle, and TerraCycle recycles them. It's not getting tossed.
All the different components.
Cool, that's interesting.
So, yeah, so I think we can figure out how to do that up to their standard. There's certain things you have to make sure they stay dry and stuff like that.
Keeps them off the ground.
It's not something that's gonna blow away like a outpost or something like
Yeah,
that. It's
those-
not gonna get stolen, it's affixed to a sign.
And if it does catch on fire, like the outpost will melt,
Right,
the metal one.
yeah,
will.
they're a pain. So again, and it's not huge, it's not an eyesore. It'll just be a simple sign, designated smoking area with that receptacle on it. And then that'll be up to, if we needed to write a ticket, the police would handle that, but again, we could address, or coaches could address that on an individual basis as needed.
okay, because that was gonna be my next question is, I assume this part will have to go through the Board of Aldermen for
Yes.
the actual ordinance, is like, who enforces that and that kind of thing? We're just
Police.
suggesting where to put that.
Yep.
Yeah, basically
all
the
we're doing
language
is
and
a
the park
recommendation for
regulations,
that.
yeah, because the
Okay.
police enforce the park regulations now.
So this is a recommending board, so you guys would be providing a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen on two things. You agree that we should make our parks smoke-free and tobacco-free, however you want to phrase it. And then the second thing is in the larger parks that we would provide a designated smoking area, is what the recommendation to the Board of Aldermen will be. It still will have to get all drafted, go through different votes, all those things. But those are the two things you're recommending by approving.
Can we, I'm sure they discussed this and I haven't watched the minutes, but why don't we just have smoke-free parks?
On the larger parks, in pretty much every city around us, they have an area that's designated.
Okay,
All the smaller parks, all the neighborhood parks, like Fred said, those would be smoke-free,
gotcha.
because there's not really an area. Like Wildflower Park, why would we put a designated smoking?
We made a
area
map and they looked
there?
ridiculous.
When there's
Yeah.
'Cause it
houses
was
all
like,
around it, if you're
yeah.
at home, you can
Yeah.
smoke.
That makes sense.
Don't say we go to the end of this piece of the park and smoke.
Other parks handle it with parking lots or something like, you know what I mean? Really, there's a million ways to go. And that was presented to the Board of Aldermen. We took their direction and put it into that simple policy,
Yeah.
meaning no smoking except in a designated area.
And this is one small piece of what we're doing with tobacco.
Yeah.
Because we're also doing Tobacco 21,
Right.
and then this summer we'll start drafting everything on medical marijuana and where that's allowed. So there's gonna be more on top of this. This is just the piece that we're responsible for as this committee.
So personally, the Heritage Park one, I don't know that it's right as you drive in, like it's right there in the front. I don't know that there's a better spot for that, but I don't know.
The problem is getting away from, again, where you think the groups of kids are and.
And that's probably the
yeah,
furthest
that's-
away without making people trek all the way to the back of
And
the
since we've
baseball
moved the
field.
equipment all the way to the other side.
Yeah.
That area would have made more sense, but we're putting the equipment on the hill now.
Right.
And then if you look at, once we put in the new trail, and if we do some sort of parking by the new playground equipment, most people will be going the furthest spot from that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we have, because there is gonna be another parking lot up there, correct?
There is flat enough space right now, and there's an entrance off Main. Part of the engineering of the Main Street Trail is to put that entrance in there and connect behind the T-ball field where the concrete trail ends, take that up to Main Street. And
But
then
people will actually be able to park up where that's the plan,
Hopefully
eventually.
someday.
Eventually, yeah.
Once the trail and everything, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
once we get budget to pave it up there too.
Yeah,
We gotta see how it all lays out and how the trail stuff comes in.
Wasn't there plans for a basketball court in that area,
Where the smoking area is,
over in that general area?
that's what we kinda talked about at one point.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it could, like you said, though, it can be moved.
We can move it anytime.
Right.
It's gonna be just a pole.
Yeah, it's just, and it won't take any official action to move it.
Yeah, it's
just,
just
hey,
gonna
let's
be
move
in
that.
designated areas only, the designated areas defined by the pole.
That's
they can
all.
pop
We're,
it.
we're leaving options open.
Sure, okay.
That's the main thing.
Right.
It'd be a lot easier just to go no smoking anyway.
Yeah, I was just curious if it was,
Right.
if there had to be action to move it, or you can just. be like,
No,
"Ah,
we'll just move it. We're not specifying anything
Right.
in this regulation, just no smoking except in the area. And that's another thing too. I mean, that, the circle on those maps was how wide it was to type smoking area in there.
Right.
It's not like we're gonna put up a fence around it or anything. That's all. But
Right.
yeah, and I mean, we'll see. If we get complaints, then that's something we could address and move it farther down, or just do away with it at Heritage Park.
Okay.
That, you know what I mean? We can handle
Smoke
that.
by the pole, or just take it.
We're doing, right, and right there, there's a kind of a parking lot regulation sign, so I was just gonna stick it on the bottom of that sign, there you go. 2 posts in the ground, sign, receptacle, done.
Yeah. And the reality of the situation is smoking has gone down a lot.
It really has. I think we have 2 complaints one at soccer and one at T-ball, for our rec program, so it's not something we deal with on a daily basis generally.
Okay.
Yep,
So we are recommending, there were 2 things you said.
That we recommend to the Board of Aldermen that we make our parks smoke-free other than and then we're recommending our designated areas, or which 2 parks we're going to provide designated areas.
Okay. So we need a motion.
I move that we recommend to the Board of Aldermen smoke-free parks other than in designated areas.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
This one, yeah, this
All
one.
right.
Aye.
Patrick second.
Oh, did we have to do individual?
No.
We don't have a roll call on
No,
that?
no.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Got it. Right.
Okay. So we're good and done on that? I'll take care of it? Okay, the next part is Remembrance Park landscape design.
Right, this was included in the budget as one of the projects for this year. Working with folks from Keep Smithville Beautiful and Full Features Landscaping to take their recommendations. That group kind of adopted that park last year, and the rose bushes in there have got a disease and need to be removed. And we're looking to, add a little more color down there and keep everything kind of flowing together to downtown. So this was just a design, I kind of want to make you guys aware of it. We'll re-landscape and irrigate that park, hopefully this spring if the weather will cooperate.
Is it irrigated currently?
No, it's tapped, that's all, and it's all in the budget.
We did have them at the taps whenever they,
Right, when they were
I
there.
knew
The
I
water
had
line.
seen water thing somewhere, but I think it was just in the square. Is that the only
Could
place
have
they are
been.
right now? Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
there's a
it's
frost
all
free.
brand new.
Yeah,
Okay, I just know I had seen them, but I couldn't remember if they were actually open or
Right.
not, so, okay.
so,
And we did move the water at the square towards the end of this summer, you probably saw that it's on the bathrooms now, it's not over that corner, so we're
Yeah.
not blocking the entrances.
Right.
With the hoses, we can move the splash park stuff.
Less trippy.
Yeah, and there's all brand new sprinklers at the square also, because they ripped them out when they did those.
Yeah, so we've updated most of those. The ones where they were dug out, we upgraded, but yeah. So we'll get it, we're gonna get a design for the irrigation system on this, but just kind of wanted you guys to be aware that this was going on. Have a look at the plan, so that you know, we're rolling on these projects. So,
I think everything for your department has been put out to bid or done for this year's budget, right?
it's close. There's some trail at Heritage.
Oh, yeah.
That low spot, we'll wait till that playground's gone.
Is that in-house or?
No, we're gonna contract that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that playground's not actually gonna be gone for a while, though.
Well, not until the new one's open.
Okay,
We don't have any plans to tear it out right now.
okay, okay.
Should we auction it off piece by piece for
Posterity?
anybody that wants it? It's
All right.
not great
So,
shape.
yeah, I don't need anything from you guys on that. I just want to kind of keep you in the loop
Okay.
on that.
And then the concrete ping tables. These I'm super excited about. I saw these like 2 years ago, and these look fantastic.
Yeah,
Like a lot
so,
of
as Danny said, she'd seen them. Seth, who's not here tonight, had mentioned something to me about it. I think that it would be a great thing for us to also put out there as a sponsorship catalog item. Because like on the concrete ping pong table, you can get something carved in it. So if like Storm Baseball wanted to raise money, have a Storm Baseball, so it'll be a concrete ping pong table with a metal net, and you could get whatever put into the net.
Oh, that's cool.
And they also have they have like chess boards, they have different things. But if there was a group in town or a business that wanted to put one out, but we could also look at this as a budget item. Because one of the things we need to come up with either this meeting or the next meeting is kind of our ranked list. Because we start budget planning in June.
Next meeting.
Yeah, so start thinking about that if this is something you guys would like to see. If you looked at our budget that we put out there this year, if you don't have it, I can send you the PDF. It's got that list of everything we talked about. Wildflower Park had 4 items: the educational garden, the court, shelter house, something else. Or was it just 3? 3 or 4. Bathrooms?
No, one bathroom.
No, because there's houses right there.
We're-
It's
Basketball court.
Basketball
was
court,
one. I
garden.
don't remember what's on that.
Yeah, so maybe it was only 3. Shelter house,
Oh, that was tennis courts. that were going
basketball,
on.
tennis, multi-use kind of thing.
Okay.
Shelter house.
Yeah, it says shelter. So the educational garden piece, I'm working on getting funded through our 501, our new Legacy Foundation. I've got that about half funded right now. The shelter house, I've talked to a couple different individuals about seeing if that's something that they could help us pull together. And I've got some cool designs on the shelter house. Because we want Wildflower Park to be, it is literally in people's backyards. So why not make it look like a really good backyard if it's gonna be the neighborhood park? So not just a metal shelter house, make it look nice, outdoor fireplace type of thing. Something that people want to actually hang out in. So concrete tables, games and things would be a cool addition up there, or really to any of our parks. Heritage Park's getting quite a few upgrades this year. Smith Fork's got a little bit. And the Missouri Eats program, they're gonna hit all 3 parks that are walkable from the schools. 2 of those are currently undeveloped, and then the other one's Emerald Ridge. So Hawthorne Park will probably be able to start on that next summer or sometime around then,
Which one is Hawthorne Park?
right up the street here. Cattails.
Gotcha. That's all.
Swap.
They're doing water line work over there right now. We'll probably know more with our transportation master plan, what we're gonna do there with the intersection and stuff.
Cool.
But that should be walkable from Maple, if we did any, but Maple also has their own garden, so we could do some stuff in Maple as well. And then with the South Commercial sidewalks going in, which will connect Hills of Shannon all the way to the high school, they'll be able to walk to the Emerald Ridge, which is by the duplexes.
Always hated those kids walking down the street there, you know, on the side of the road.
That's out for engineering, that'll actually go out to bid in May, and it's a plan, it is scheduled to be done before school starts,
That's great. That's great.
That's awesome.
so.
Well, let me ask on these, I was amazed by some of the prices, like specifically the chess table.
Yeah.
For
Isn't that awesome?
Well, I mean, Is that not high?
No,
For a lot, it's a lot of concrete.
just go look at how much just like a regular ping pong table costs you.
I remember when we were discussing the dog park stuff and like just pouring the pads to like go in and out. I was like, holy crap, that's so much money, but concrete is expensive.
Yeah, I liked that one, the shuffle.
And then like, you're not
Yeah,
just
cornhole
pouring
are nice,
concrete,
too.
like you're making the
Yeah, I
forms
like
and then,
Especially with our student cornhole tournaments, I think cornhole was reasonable.
Would they be fixed, permanent in a spot? They would be movable, I guess.
I mean, we could move them if we threw the
Well, right.
Bobcat under or something.
We'd set them at regulation
Yeah.
length.
Well, and when I was looking at
the
it,
poker table cracks me up.
downtown
I'm like, do
here.
people really put those in someplace? That just seems excessive.
On your back patio,
Yeah. they're
Well,
good.
okay,
if your
but,
wife doesn't want you playing poker.
but I'm like, $8,000 for a poker table, that's a lot.
Well, you gotta keep in mind shipping too has gotta be a chunk.
Yeah, the foosball table I thought was really fun. That's outdoor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the parts are still plastic on it.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
was
like
thinking that's
warranty wise,
breakable.
how does that work?
You'd have to ask them.
Yeah, that'd be up
Okay,
to
and then the ball,
you bring your own.
okay.
I think, isn't that, that's how the
Same for
the
cornhole,
ping
I
pong
assume.
is, you bring your own.
your own.
Bring
Ping
your
pong,
own.
bring your own.
Interesting.
well, the chess table I know would be nice, probably in the downtown park here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Well, and
And there was different levels on the chess table too, like there were some that are less money.
more
Yes.
basic,
Yeah,
yeah.
more basic.
Something for us to think about.
But I mean, if you're an avid chess player and you wanna put something in the park other than a bench, that's a perfect thing to throw in.
yeah, I mean, it's a table
Cause the
with
benches
chairs.
cost us $500.
Yeah,
To sponsor a bench is $500, right? I mean,
How does the shovelboard work? You bring your own? I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't it have that silica?
You gotta bring your own sand too, I
bring
guess.
your own sand.
I would
sand
think
it down
that would
just
weather
right.
well. Yeah, I'd have lots of
It's
questions
not,
for that.
and most of them aren't out, like, super exposed, they're usually in a shelter.
The stool price is what got me.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, no.
They can just stand.
But like the chess table and the ping pong table, that's pretty neat.
Yeah,
Alright.
Seth showed it to me because he was thinking about putting ping pong out at Captain's outside.
Oh, that's a good idea. That'd be fun. All right, so anything else on the concrete game tables, questions, remarks?
Yeah, just be
Guys.
thinking about it for the
Love
next
fast
meeting.
Next meeting.
meetings.
So
we'll be
next
talking
meeting, we
Sam.
need that budget list. So we
Yeah,
came up with it a little late
priorities.
this year, so if we come up with it early, we can try to get our priorities.
And
in.
rather than just list, think of priorities.
Yeah,
Number one, number two, that's what will guide us through coming from this board, you know, that'll give some direction to the Board of Aldermen on budget and
is there anything specifically from the last budget that we didn't get on the budget?
A
a
lot.
whole lot.
Okay, can we get,
That's
do you
okay.
have a list
Yeah, it's
that
on
you
the-
could send out?
It's on the
email?
budget, I can send the
That'd
2
be great.
pages out.
Yeah,
But yeah, and we have the
Just
dollar
for
amounts for all of
refresher.
those.
Cool.
And that's why when I'm out asking groups for money for these items, I'm going to that list and saying, these are all the things we asked for in Wildflower Park. Oh, the fourth thing was playground equipment.
oh, yeah.
That's right.
$70,000 for playground equipment, $3,500 for educational garden. Which one can we do right away? And we have the volunteers that want to do it, we got the civic groups that want to do it.
Yeah,
You know,
cool.
Most people live in Wildflower that have kids, have some sort of playground in their backyard, or
You'll send that.
they can go to Eagle Heights.
Yeah, I'll
also.
send it out, yeah. Yep, it's just a couple pages of the budget, and it's got a whole list of stuff that was discussed at this meeting and other meetings, and
So jumping off of that, any new business?
Yeah, so this week we interviewed companies for our citizen-based strategic plan. We'll be signing that contract soon, probably next Board of Alderman meeting or so. It's a very expensive process. It's $60,000.
Can you elaborate on what that is exactly?
Yep. So, and that's why I wanted to set it up, is it's
Oh,
not
sorry.
just a let's get together and talk about stuff that we want. The company that we hired, they're global. They work on only a few projects a year because they're a smaller company. But they have data analysts, sociologists, the CEO of the company, he grew up in rural Australia, and now he lives in rural Minnesota and rural Ireland. And he loves this kind of, he calls it peri-urban area. We're not agriculture, we're not really urban, we're not suburban. We're outside of the suburban, but not completely rural. So he really loves that type of area and looking and trying, what they're going to do is they'll come in, they'll do multiple sessions in multiple places. They'll meet with the school, they'll meet with citizens, they'll do surveys, they'll sit down with you and spend 30 minutes with you trying to figure out what you really want Smithville to look like in 2040. They're going to go deep with a lot of people, and they're gonna pile all that data and give us a very specific plan of saying, if this is what it looks like today, this is what people, if people wanted to stay the same for the next 20 years, this is how you do that. If you wanna shift towards this and start attracting different groups and having different activities, this is what you guys have to do that. And they'll also give us benchmark cities. So benchmark cities are, in our new assistant city administrators really struggled with this. Find another city like Smithville. There's not really any in our metro, because most other places that have a lake, like Lake of the Ozarks, they're very, very, very tourism driven. Branson's very tourism driven. If they have a downtown square, they usually have a courthouse, and that's why their square's there, because they've got lawyers and everything else supporting it. We don't have that either. So where do we, and they don't have a river that goes through it. And they, you know, there's all kinds of different things that, and we're 10 miles long, 2 miles wide. You know, there's some unique challenges, but they'll find those benchmark cities across the world to see where we can compare ourselves to and how they've worked on different problems.
Cool.
They need a lot of your guys' input too. They'll need input from groups you're involved with. They'll, probably spend time talking to you on soccer and different events and, what struggles do you have in the city? What services does the city need to do? Everything and anything. That'll go from about May to August. They'll have different sessions. Then they'll compile all that data and get us back to us by the end of the year with some nice books. One of the first things to do is they'll set up a website, and that website will be kind of how we can track that, and you'll be able to drill down into the data. The name of the company is Future IQ. You can go out to their website now, look at other cities that they've done, and other organizations. So they've done a lot with towns that are military-based towns to see how that messes with their economy. Towns that have big contractors that are like military-driven, what would happen if that contract went away? Like they look at all that kind of stuff too. They just did the Queen's residence in England. How's that gonna look in 20 years? Because the Queen's probably not gonna be around anymore. They're looking at all those kinds of things. But you can go to that website and it's gonna live for as long as it's there, and we could drill down into the data points and see what does Danny's demographic value? What is a mom with a toddler at home right now? What do they value versus what does Kevin value? You can see all those data points, and we'll be able to see, kind of pick our future based on where we are today and where we want to be. And so we need a lot of participation by the community. You can't just be the same 20 people that show up to most things. They're going to go to all the different areas too. So they'll go up to Eagle Heights, they'll go out to the school, they'll go to the housing authority, they'll go talk to people all over.
So they'll have like specific dates to meet
Yep.
people and do that kind of thing.
And we will have a main group out of that called a think tank that will kind of help guide them in what directions to go and who the people are to go talk to and where the areas are. And they don't just want to talk to people that are very optimistic about Smithville, they want to talk to people that are very pessimistic about things that are going on. So
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people to have conversations with.
So that's really it.
How do they select people? Is it door to door, or does?
No, they'll put it out. We'll put it on social media too. We'll do the surveys. We'll say, hey, are you interested in sitting down? And then we'll do town halls. They'll probably talk to every single board we have, all the people involved in the boards. They'll probably reach out to all the Parks and Rec parents. They'll reach out to a lot of people. They'll take all the survey data we already have too. So like everything he does at the end of seasons, they'll take all that too historically and throw it in their data engine. They don't want to just get the data they've collected. They want everything we've ever done, plus the stuff they're going to collect.
Alrighty, anything else?
We do have an internship open for Parks and Rec.
Okay.
It's for college students at this moment. It's out there, it's been out there for a little less than a month, yeah.
And that's reporting to you, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
What does that entail?
Learn
Is
how,
it like maintenance or?
it's
what do you do,
learning
or is
all
it just-
assets of the Parks and Recreation Department, so it's someone who probably does have a going into interest of Parks and Recreation or business of some sort,
Is that a paid internship?
yeah.
I think we have one that maybe is interested already. I don't
We
know.
have one that's already applied, the one that you emailed about, we sent
Okay.
that to her and she replied back saying that she would look into it, so,
Okay.
yeah. But I'm posting that on Facebook probably tomorrow, so. And then just the last time, the minutes, the sponsorship catalog is online too now
Yeah,
as
we
well.
made changes to that.
The sponsorship.
Yeah,
program.
so
Yeah, it's
that's
out
all,
there.
that's on the website, city website. And so is the job application too.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything?
Nothing.
I have a question. I saw something on social media. I know that we've discussed before that like that each individual subdivisions have a designated space that's parks, correct?
No.
Did I understand that correctly?
No. Every single.
Or they have green space, is that what
No,
it is?
no, every single house that's built in Smithville pays, they either pay into the Parks Fund or they contribute land.
Okay,
So like Wildflower contributed land, but the new subdivision going by Wildflower won't have to because there's already land there.
gotcha.
Anything that built down by Heritage, like there's 2 new houses that'll eventually go in by Heritage, they don't designate land, they pay into the, as part of their permit, they pay into the fund.
So the one specifically I was gonna ask about, because I just seen a comment and just had a question, because I didn't actually know, was Greyhawk. Do they have designated space?
They're within distance of Wildflower and Heritage, they're close enough to both of those.
Okay.
I think what the distance they use is a mile.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at Greyhawk, I think they're within a mile of either Wildflower or, because Greyhawk, what you gotta understand about Greyhawk, that extends all the way to, on the
It goes
south
all the way
side,
down to-
it goes to the road by the
Yeah.
winery.
Yeah.
So if they measure from there to Heritage, it might be that mile.
And that's basically across the
Or
street
no,
from
it's Smith's
Smith
Fork.
Fork.
Smith's Fork is right across the street from it.
It was just, it was an off-topic
Yeah,
comment of just like what happens to our HOA, and I'm not in Greyhawk, I just saw it and was like, oh.
Well, HOA has
Do they
stuff, yeah.
have one, or it wasn't one that I remembered seeing in our first
Yeah.
packet that we talked
So
about, so I was just asking.
HOA is completely separate because that's
Yeah.
their money. When each one of those houses is built, they pay into the Parks Fund.
Gotcha.
But, and they've been building a lot faster this year than they have been in the past. I think they're gonna get to phase 4 soon. Once they hit one of the next phases, they have to pay for a roundabout, like one entrance down from you, pretty
Yep.
much. When that road comes through, because you can see they're cutting the dirt
Yeah.
right now. Once that comes through, they're gonna have to do a roundabout. But if they're only building 3 or 4 houses a year, they're contributing $1,500 or less to the Parks Fund.
Okay.
So it's not gonna build any playground equipment anywhere.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure how it worked.
Yeah.
but I-
So they're
And with the
really-
new subdivision, it's figured in a larger, that's a one-time
Yeah, sometimes.
per, when it's a neighborhood.
Yeah, so like with the one south of Wildflower, what we're negotiating with them is, instead of them paying in the Park Services Fund, they'll build the trail that goes along Eagle Parkway to get from 180th Street up to 188th Street,
Oh, okay,
because they'll already be mobilizing, they'll already be
Right.
doing dirt work there, pour the concrete,
cool. That's-
instead of
It's
paying
kind of a win-win, then we
Yeah,
get
that's
an
nice.
amenity and they,
for
rather than pay,
the
they,
piece from 188th to 188 along Old F Highway.
But they
Was
get
that
that
Yeah,
Eagle Parkway?
sidewalk, yeah, sidewalk, yeah.
It'd be a trail,
Straight, but it'll be
8-foot wide,
hard service?
right.
8-foot wide concrete is our standard.
Gotcha. Is that like what the one's being built in front of Harborview?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's 8-foot wide, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
done. Been
That's
done.
trail.
Right.
Yeah, they look good too.
But that's.
On
what
the other
makes-
side is 5-foot sidewalk on, yeah, that's 8-foot trail. The difference between trail and sidewalk really is the ADA compliance pieces of it.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to do the rumble strips, you don't have to worry about the grade as much, you don't, it's 8-foot wide. It's not picture frame, all that stuff.
Gotcha.
All right, does anyone else have any other news? Anything? No? Okay. All right. I'll move we adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Oh, thank you. I can't move anything, so. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.